What's going on, everyone? My name is Tim, and this is the Warehouse Series. So I do want to say that now that I am pretty much only posting once a week on Fridays, when I do Discord Fridays, it is definitely going to make these videos a lot longer. So more than likely, these videos are going to be closer to 20 minutes, if not longer. Today's a pretty long video, so I want to hurry up and get through this beginning part so we can start getting to the product. So guys, last week's video, probably one of my best videos in about 3 months. I really appreciate all the support on that channel. If you guys want to continue supporting my channel, you can donate to Venmo. It's really much appreciated. Give me a thumbs up for the videos, helps the algorithm. You want to join Discord, always going to be free. And pretty much all the pictures that I pull off of these videos are from Discord. So please post your pictures over on Discord. Not to mention, you're not only going to get my help, you are going to get hundreds of other people helping you as well progress into the warehouse. And if you guys want to subscribe to the channel, I appreciate it. And let's get to the first picture. All right, guys, so not all the time are the pictures that are posted on Discord actually the Discord members. Sometimes they'll take a picture and be like, man, look at this crappy pallet, and post it on the Discord. The reason why I like going over these is because we have tons and tons of people that build like this, possibly you, if you're new on Discord and new to selecting. So I like to give breakdowns of these pallets to let you know what you should be doing differently, because like I said, I could definitely take these pictures and I could see people all day long selecting like this in our warehouse. So I have mentioned this a long time ago. When you are in the warehouse and you are selecting, glance around at other people's pallets. Now, you usually have so many starting points in your warehouse. Glance around. Are potatoes going out heavy today? I could tell just by looking at other people's orders that are coming out of there. Maybe I have not selected an order over there yet, but I am looking at other people's orders, and we are noticing that, okay, potatoes are only going out maybe 5, 10 at a time. So if I know that and I get this order, because it is hard to stack on potatoes. It's doable, but it's definitely harder. I am stacking. Now, I don't know if there's 10 potatoes here because we got 5, 6, 7 showing here. They do come in a 5 block, but let's say we have 8 to 10 potatoes. All right, and I know they're not going out heavy because I either was already in this section of the warehouse or I noticed that other people do not have potatoes going out heavy. I am stacking 3, 3, and then 3 on the far side with a potato on top for number 10 if I had 10 potatoes. Why? Because I want most of the wood on my pallet showing for all this stuff. When you have a lot of wood exposed, it makes stacking a lot easier because cases are going to fit flat. Cases do not fit flat on top of the potatoes, so it makes it harder to build. Now, with that being said, I did mention you could still build like this, but there's just inconsistency and some problems down here. One, I have mentioned this before. I don't care what it is, carrots, potatoes, bakery bags, I don't care. The dog food bags, the tops of my bags are always facing inwards, because if whatever, especially with potatoes like these ones here hanging off, if they pop open or if they rip, and all the contents start leaking out, what do you think is going to happen? Well, if we lose the potatoes that are in the bag, it's going to give you a really low corner, and this whole entire pallet's going to come crashing down. So, but we're not even on the pallet. This is going to get damaged. It's going to get taken out while it's getting loaded on the truck. So guys, one, you got to make sure your pallet or your potatoes are on. Now, these potato bags come really long. Take the time to pick up the potato bag, shake the contents down, and fold that potato bag over. All right. I get that some of these bags are not the greatest, but move the contents down so you can fit that bag on the pallet. Onions are usually the only ones that really don't stick on the pallet that well, but everything that's down here, we could have easily made this a nice pallet. We got peppers here, it looks like. We got a watermelon, so it looks like we're in between like warm product and cold product. Looks like we even got flowers on here. Guys, easy stack, all right? I know it looks difficult, but it's an easy stack if we do it how I did. Leave more wood exposed and stack from there. The back pallet's kind of hard to see what's going on here. And guys, I mentioned this on to my trainee last week, that see how we're not keeping our imaginary line. When you're building a 2 pallet order, you want to keep your imaginary line. There is no doubt when this person pulls his front pallet off, this whole entire back pallet, it's falling right over. Unless they have somebody hold it, it's falling over. We got a heavy carrot in here. I just noticed that. We got a heavy carrot here. So, oh God, there is so much weight on the front of this pallet. There is no doubt in my mind, unless somebody held this for them, it's falling. And this here is probably going to fall backwards at the same time. It's a mess. These are not easy to stack. but what I just said is definitely going to help you build a better pallet. All right, this next picture I actually really like. I'm going to mention this every single time. If you do not have to use plastic pallets, do not use them. I get it that they're easy to back under and they're light to throw, but they are a smaller surface and a weaker surface to stack on. But if you have to use them, you have to use them. We got a great looking base here. We got cans on their side, which is okay because look at this right here. We do not have weight on the cans, so there's nothing that's going to compromise those cans. Great, just filling in a gap, and it allows this to not shift and move around from these air fresheners over here. It's going to allow this not to slide back and forth. We got nice looking all the way up. Skinny cases in the middle, got a high corner, low inside. Guys, what did I tell you? If you have bags and you cannot get level, you do not know how to build. All right, we are nowhere being level. We got two bags. Look at the high inside and low inside, but look how we take the bags and we get level again because you can move the contents around inside those bags. I love working with bags. We got a jelly upside down. Guys, I promise you, there is absolutely 1000% zero reason to turn any type of jars upside down, liquid, anything. Putting cases where you're putting pressure on the neck or the tops of the cases, it's absolutely pointless because the tops of those jars, I know it's a visual thing. I got cardboard up here. It's flat. I'm going to be able to set this better on there. I promise you, you're going to be able to set it just as fine on top of these jars as well. I highly recommend not turning this stuff upside down. Plus, we lost our corner. So we got a corner going up here. And as you can see, we scooted in right here and we lost our corner, so we sort of came in a little bit, although it's still a very, very nice looking pallet. So it's actually built really well. Just a couple things that I would have done differently. All right, guys, I talk about this all the time too. This is another one that we lost, or someone took in the warehouse saying, I got one better than you. You know, the first picture I showed, and then they posted this. This is honestly so common. It is so common to see these in the warehouse at least probably once or twice a week. And once again, I want to go over and show the reason why. Now, right here, base down, I like it except for whatever case is under here. It looks like we got a case here. See how this case is like dipping down? So we have a smaller case here. Guys, remember, get that mentality. You want to touch your cases once as much as possible. But if it's going to compromise the way my pallet's going to be built, then I am moving a case. So if I put this case down and I put this case on top of it and it's leaning in, I can already tell it's going to be a problem. So I take the 2 seconds just to knock that case out, drop these cases down so they're fitting flat here, and maybe this case just goes somewhere else. It's that simple. All right. It is very crucial to make sure that you are not jeopardizing the pallet just because you have a touch once mentality. But we actually have a nice looking base here. And then we just start losing our corners, guys. That's all this is. Okay, so my guess is right here, right in this area here, this person stopped and they wrapped their pallet. Okay, so what do I tell you all the time? When you have gaps in the middle of your pallet that are not filled and you stop to wrap and you wrap it tight, well, what's the product going to do? If our pallet is nice and square here and I wrap it, now it brings our product in closer towards the middle, well, we just lost cube. And now we're going to have this tall, skinny pallet like this. So that's what happened. Right here, we wrapped our pallet. You can see it right here. They brought this content in, and then we just kept funneling, you know, and this is what you do whenever you lose cube from wrapping too tight. You start losing your corners, and you start building from the middle out. And that's exactly what happened here. I mean, I looked through here, and up to this point right here, we had a nice base. There is zero reason for this. This could have been the cause of just wrapping too tight and losing cube. But it happens a lot of times. All right, guys, this is another pallet I want to look at. Somebody posted this saying that they dropped their pallet. And, you know, everybody looks and, you know, I look and see, okay, what did we do wrong? And I'm looking at the front pallet. And usually when they build one pallet one way, they're building the other pallet the same way. But what do you see? Right there. Guys, I tell you time and time and time again, when you put cases like this in this part of the pallet, you get this tendency of playing catch up, and you cannot break that and get the weight going back towards the middle of this pallet. The middle of this pallet, look right here again, right there. we got a case going like that in that part of the pallet. I could go all the way around this pallet and do that probably. That is the problem with this pallet. We are putting cases like this in this part of the pallet. We're forcing ourselves to have a small corner and a weak inside. The whole entire middle of this is going to be weak. Even though they got heavy cases in there, it's still going to be a weak inside because now everything is meant to fall side to side. All right. Like I said, you guys put these pictures on and I immediately start looking at what's wrong with it. Front pallet. We got all these big boxes on one side, but look at this whole side of the pallet. All the cases are running this way. What case in the middle of the pallet? They have a bad habit of doing that. Why do I say this 1 million times on this channel? Because I truly believe it's one of the main things that selectors do that make their pallets fall over. It makes their pallets weak, is putting cases like this in this part of the pallet. All right. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're brand new to this channel, I am going to put my cross and tease video down in the description below. Please watch it and you're going to get a really good idea of what I'm talking about. All right, this next pallet, I got some good things and some bad things I want to say about it. First, the good things. I want to say that you're nice and square. We're using blue wood. You're nice and square. We got the totes down here. Totes are not easy to stack on either because, you got the dips coming in. So nice and square. And the reason why I also like it is we got a lot of high lows. Even though we got a low corner high inside, we sort of corrected here. I'm not a fan, so I'm going to get to the negatives now. I mean, we got a nice looking pallet here. Now we got this here, not a big deal. We've got a nice bridge from one case to the next, so it's not going to compromise anything here. We have slip sheets. I hate slip sheets when we start hovering cases over nothing. It's higher up the pallet, it might be fine. We bridge here and there. Anytime you bridge, it's perfect. This one's a little bit smaller of a gap, so it's not that big of a deal. This is actually a good use of a slip sheet up here. I'm not a big fan of this one here because it's just a lot of weight leaning into it, nothing. But honestly, just a few things on this front pallet. Actually, a very nice looking pallet. The back pallet, we got cans on its side, right in the middle here. I don't know if these are energy drinks or what these are right here, but they're already buckling. All right. Cans need to be upright. They cannot take pressure like that. They are going to buckle and the whole packaging is just going to fall apart. Other than that, very nicely done. We got all of our jars together right here. We can see, look, guys, look, high corners. We kept our high corners and we kept the low inside. And see how the lean comes back into the pallet? Now picture the pickles over here and the sauce over here. Now you got the lean coming outwards. We want our lean to go in towards the middle of the pallet. And that's exactly what they do with their high corners. They did this perfectly. They even did it here. Again, it looks like we have cans upside down. No reason to do that. But still, we got that nice lean coming in. High corner, low inside. It looks like another slip sheet here because we're hovering. Up this high, not too bad. And if there's no slip sheet there, then we're going to have a problem because it's doing the same thing here. These cases are going to lean in. You have enough small cases on here where every single one of these gaps could have been filled. So even though you build and you have these gaps, just keep mental notes of them. Maybe this case will fit in there and just shove cases in these holes. That's what I like to do. But the one major thing is the case is leaning in on the slip sheet, but this case right here, other than that, you're really doing a fantastic job on these pallets. They look really well. All right, guys, once again, very nice looking pallet. It's nice and square. Same thing I just said last time. When we use a slip sheet, we tend to hover cases. I always say that it may look nice when it's at the warehouse, but after it goes for that whole truck ride to the store, it gets unloaded, reloaded, unloaded, reloaded, and gets, because sometimes they have to, if it was loaded wrong or maybe one stop was whatever, and they got to pull cases or pull pallets off to put pallets back on. We don't know how much of movement is going through this. So is this right here still going to be looking like this by the time it gets to the store? It may not. All the way down here on the bottom layer, I'm not sure why your cans are upside down. I will preach this until the day I die. The bottom of these cases are no stronger than the tops of these cases. Keep your cases upright, in my opinion. There is zero reason to have these cans upside down. It's not going to harm the cans. But still, there's just no reason to do it. Honestly, it makes it easier for the packaging to pop open if it's upside down. And so sometimes when you pick these cans up, it rips to one side, and it's possible that you might have a can squeeze out. More likely not going to happen. But other than that, you build a really nice pallet. We got fragile. We got a case on its side. Once again, we're up higher on the pallet, not a lot of weight on it. So it's probably not that big of a deal. But other than that, very nice square pallet. All right, this one here looks like we have a freezer pallet. Man, your warehouse is so bright. I was looking at the picture that you posted. It's a bright warehouse. The racking looks new. This looks like a brand new warehouse to me. But you're in a freezer and just solid, just absolute solid stack here. Guys, see how we keep cases together? Even if we column stack two, I always say this, I consider 3 a column stack. Two is so minute that it's not going to compromise anything, but then we go right into tying in. I mean, this is just solid work here, beautifully done. If you're new in the freezer, take a look at these pallets. This is how you want to do it. All right, I just want to throw this up there because I don't agree with too many times on using breaker pallets. Would I use one? No, I would not. But I do agree with using a breaker pallet on top of a level layer of potatoes or onions. It's just going to make stacking these boxes a heck of a lot easier. I just have it in my head that I know I could stack without breaker pallets or slip sheets, so I never use them. But I do like to point out when I think it's a good time to use slip sheets and breaker pallets. And on top of this product right here is an awesome time to use a breaker pallet. All right, I don't know who posted this, but thank you. All right, if you watched my last past videos, I've been showing all these Fresh Express people stacking them on their sides. These are weak boxes. They buckle. The tops pop open. Like these tops right here, they pop open so freaking easy. And this is how you want to stack them, all right? Now, we got one in the middle on its side, but we got a slip sheet here, and we are almost done with our order. This one is topping off the pallet, so it could easily be put on its side. But these ones down here would definitely probably buckle if we had them on their sides. So thank you, whoever did this, for keeping your cases upright and just stacking this really nice. I mean, it's perfect. This is exactly how I would do this. Keeping all the blueberries together over here. Don't spread them around. Keep them together. I love it. Great looking palette and great use of a slip sheet. I mean, maybe you don't have a slip sheet. Maybe the bottom of that box is just like folded out. Yeah, I don't think you do have a slip sheet, but even still, you tied it in perfectly right here, and then we went the opposite direction again. A great looking palette. All right, guys, I like this one too. I'm going to point it out. I always say that I like whenever there's a great use of a slip sheet, and that is right here on the second layer. Why? Because we have the same cases, 2 layers, and putting that slip sheet in the middle of those 2 layers is actually really just emphasizing how solid this base is. All right, so great use of a slip sheet on this one, just making this base so much stronger and allowing us to get columns going after that. I tell you all the time, establish that base and then we can get away with having columns. And then what do I say, guys? When you establish a base, you can column stack on top of that base with no problem. The only thing I would have done different is I like to have the strong corners, weak inside. This column right here would have been my middle. And then I would have had other cases. I tell you all the time, cases pointing in with that center column straight up. So we got a little bit of a stronger middle here than our corner. I would have just swapped some stuff around. But other than that, great looking palette. You topped it off at your bounty. And yeah, great use of a slip sheet. I do want to tell you, whenever I'm filming these videos, I stare at the palette. I notice every now and then I lose focus on me. It shouldn't be that important. We're focusing on the pallets, not me. Every now and then I look over at myself and I see that I'm getting blurry, and then I come back to whatever. So as long as the pallets you can see, that's perfect. So all right, I put this on here even though we don't got a complete pallet. This is how I stack, guys. This is how I teach my trainees to stack. In this part of the warehouse, we got the same crap. All kinds of mixtures of stuff here. You got your chunky soups and stuff like that, Pregos, and we got our waters. We have the same crap in our part of the warehouse. This is how I stack it. Cases facing in with the center column. And when I have an opportunity to tie in, I will. Sometimes that opportunity comes midway up the pallet. Sometimes it comes past midway up the pallet. But be patient with this. Don't start trying to tie it. Now picture this can going this way, this chunky soup going this way, this can. You don't want to do that. All right. This is how you want to stack this. Sometimes you get forced to column stack. In this part of the warehouse, which it looks like it has a lot of the same crap that we do at our warehouse, you get forced to column stack. You do this until you get an opportunity to tie in, or even use that slip sheet if you like to do so. But I'm glad you posted this partial pallet because it's so important that people get in the habit of pointing cases in with that center column. Strongest point of the pallet right here, guys. That picture I showed you that fell over, they did not have this. They had cases like this. Now picture this column over here and picture this column in the middle. Putting cases in that part of the pallet I cannot stand is going to give yourself that weak corner. I hope you guys really understand what I'm talking about when I say that. It's probably one of the most important things when building a pallet. All right, guys, a couple pictures left. So this one here, I get that you're trying to space these in the middle of the boxes. I probably would have tried my luck with these buckets to the edge and then slid these buckets over so they're partially on here and partially in the middle of the buckets. In the middle of the boxes, because it seems like even though these buckets are buckling just a hair, it looks like they're pretty solid cases. So I would have actually slid these buckets over to the corner. I would have kept my corner. It doesn't look bad though, because you just have a big case on top of it and you brought it back out again to try to keep that corner. So not horrible. If it works this way, then do it. Maybe you already tried it where it was over here and maybe it does dip in and it buckles the case. I don't know. Buckets should be first on an order. So I always say this is a slotting issue, but me personally, I would have slid everything over to try to keep my corner. It would have given me more room in the middle of my pallet for some small stuff, which you don't have a lot of. This here, whether that's like some type of, just powder or whatever, I don't know what's in there, but I'm finding a hole maybe in between my buckets right here. Even if you already wrapped this and I got to lift up the wrap just to shove this in, whatever this is, I would absolutely 1000% not use it as a corner. I would not use it as anything to stack on. It would be going in a hole somewhere. And if there was no hole, throw it on your jack. Throw it on the, your box on your jack, and at the end of the order, just toss it on top. You do not want to stack on something like that. But other than that, this is not a bad looking pallet. All right, guys, in this last picture right here, I like because it's different product. We don't get to see this all the time. Just solid, absolutely solid base on this one. Just keeping our bags together, these plates or whatever the heck these things are, just absolutely really, really nice. The way you did this is, I like it. You have bigger boxes. So my concept of putting cases in with that center column, it doesn't really come into play when you have a ton of big cases like this. Usually when you have a ton of big cases like this, you put it up there how you think it's going to work. But other than that, perfect base for this. And I actually think you're the same person that built the last picture I was just going over, but actually a great looking pallet. All right, guys, that's it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please let me know in the comments section below if you have any comments or questions, and I will get back to everybody that comments. So that's it, guys. Why did I put the whole puzzle thing on here? It's just, like some of those bad pallets that I showed today, I just don't get it. I just, like the potato bag hanging like a good foot off the side of the pallet. I mean, obviously that's not going to work. There's just certain things that people do in the warehouse that I don't care if you're on day one, it's a common sense thing. All right. If I put a bag of potatoes on and it's leaning off, obviously it's not going to work. Some of these pallets that I look at, I just get so frustrated with. This little icon up here that I put, the jelly upside down, cans upside down, it just puzzles me. Guys, I've been doing this for 25 years, and I'm telling you right now, you do not have to put cases upside down. All right, it's not making your pallet any stronger. It's not giving you a better surface to build on. It just blows my mind. 2 liters upside down. We put everything upside down just because we want that flat cardboard bottom, and it to me, it makes your pallet weaker, not stronger. So that's it for today, guys. I'll see you next time. Have a wonderful day.